listening to us across the length and breadth of our nation, Liberia, and to all our people across the sub-region, the continent, and the world. Welcome to this edition of the Liberian Renaissance. Changing minds aren't changing attitudes. Here we say not ethnicity, but nationality. Not individualistic attitudes, but rather the we consciousness, we the people residing in Liberia, determined to make a constructive difference. I'm Larry Bropleh. My co-host Ruben Dully may be on his way, and we welcome you to this edition of the program. Today we are blessed again to have with us a trailblazer, one who never gets tired, and who keeps Liberia, Africa, and the world on her mind. Welcome to the Changing Minds and Changing Attitudes, Madam Former President. And I must say there's always a distinct pleasure to host you on this platform. How are you? How have you been?
Thank you, Larry. Pleased to be back to another session. This important thing. I've been well, giving in gracefully to age.
Indeed, really graceful. And I want to say on behalf of our platform, happy belated birthday. We went looking for you on your birthday and you had left town. Where were you? How did you spend your birthday?
Well, let me start by apologizing to everybody because everyone knows that on my birthday I have an open house.
Yes.
People are free to come in. Some of our marketeers bring their wares, and we just have a good time. But this time I had an important meeting of the elders.
Oh,
The elders is an organization of former presidents and prime ministers who are rather selected to be a part of this group, and they had a meeting in London. And I used that occasion to also have a small family grouping of my two sons and one of my granddaughters. And so I had a small family meeting that I used my spare time after the meetings, the elders program. And the good part about it, well, Abraham lives in London. He has his home in London. And he knew it was around birthday time. So although I celebrated with my small family group, he asked me to come over to his house. He had some of the associates that we have with the meetings I go to. And so they too celebrated that birthday for me. So it's really nice. When I came back, I heard so many people had gone, to my residence. So many had called me, but I apologize to them. But that one time, I did it differently.
and for a good cause. You are, as I always say, you're quite loved by your country, your people, and the world. So you were missed. However, you were doing some things. The elders, what are they up to? What's on your agenda lately?
The major purpose of the elders, as those who have um, managed leadership of governments, is to always seek peace, solidarity,
Mm.
mediation things in places, put out of ads, calling people to continue to preserve uh, good governance in the country, helping leaders to be reminded that whatever they do is something that must have the respect of the international community and almost must respond to the needs of their own people. So It's just a mediating group. It was founded initially uh, by Nelson Mandela,
Mm.
Africa's icon,
Yes.
and subsequently um, his wife and others have carried it on. Kofi Annan then took over after President Mandela passed, and it's just a good group of elderly people who have done good in the world and continue to promote good governance, peace, and solidarity.
Indeed, and you would be counted among that. And the group talking about mediation, keeping good governance. Then on November 26th, army generals in Guinea-Bissau seized power illegally, and we're talking about good governance. 11 successful coups in Africa in recent times, madam. What's going on?
Well, I can't say that I know what's going on, but I can say that this is most unfortunate that Africa has come a long way in promoting democracy. And while we have had some setbacks recently, with some of our countries, that there have been fractures in the African Union and in ECOWAS, we still have the majority of our countries that are meeting international standards of good governance and continue to promote peace and development. Um, I don't think the Guinea-Bissau example is one that has thrown Africa off course, as neither did the Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, not thrown Africa off course. And so, but what I would like to see the leadership of ECOWAS stand up very quickly, you know, and get its act together. But the mediation has required to work with all of them to make sure they see the purpose, the advantage of being unified. In today's world, out there, the environment that we all face, it's time for Africa to be able to pull together to make sure that we preserve uh, our own systems. We subscribe to those things and respond to the needs of our people, given our young population,
Hmm.
given the fact that we still have a long way to go to be able to compete competitively in this world. Um, my call is to ensure that all of our leaders in the African Union, leaders in ECOWAS and other regional institutions, that they pull together and try and do even more than what they do now to try to ensure this continental unity that we all want so.
Yeah, and we see that as we speak, the chair of the authority heads of state, the President Marabio, is actually in Guinea-Bissau to understand for conversations and trying to see how to bring that under control. Good luck to him.
I think that's good that he's doing that. And I hope that this period of takeover will be very short and we'll see Guinea-Bissau go back to where it was before that eruption, go back to being a part of ECOWAS stability and carrying out our ECOWAS goals.
Talking about dear friends, you're listening to the Liberian Renaissance, changing minds and changing attitudes here on ELBC and other stations across our country. You can send your text messages to 0886 546-166. Text messages only. 0886-546-166. We will get your messages read and passed on to former President Sirleaf for reaction to those messages. 0886 546-166. Madam, the Economic Community of West African States, the governance expert, recently got together and put out a report talking about the overall approach to democracy, economic integration, regional stability. And they warned that the bloc risk further eroding its legitimacy if it continues to drift away from the citizens' concerns. Quite legitimate uh, red flag raising. What's your take on this?
I don't share their opinion. I have not read this particular report that you referred to. Yes, there have been declines, in our implementation of the programs that we have undertaken to support unity in our sub-region. Um, but many countries are doing well, and the leadership, like I said before, I can repeat what I said, that we call upon the leadership of ECOWAS, the leadership of all our regional institutions, and certainly the African Union, to do what they can to mediate and bring those countries that have drifted uh, from our pledges to remain unified, uh, to support our African Continental Trade Agreement. Um, it's We just have to keep working at it. Um, I know that there are a few things that are going on that's going to try to address some of the shortcomings. Uh, I believe people may know that President John Mahama of Ghana
Ghana.
has launched the Accra Reset. That reset is meant to promote Africa as taking responsibility for its own development, um, ensuring that Africa has a full seat at every table on global matters, ensure that all Africans begin to make sure that we identify common continental objectives. And through our regional cooperation and integration, we seek those things. And so it's a whole new agenda for Africa. And that I was part of the launching of that with President Obasanjo. That the report of Accra Reset has been taken to the United Nations General Assembly at the meeting in September, because it's not just something for Ghana or something for ECOWAS or something for African Union. It's seen as Africa's own placement of trying to get its role, its position, its integration into the global economy through partnerships and through, of course, the development of our own resources for the benefit of our people and the benefit of our continental objective. It's part of the Africa we want, uh, Africa 2063. The other thing that I found interesting is the that program that is promoted by Africa's major corporate leader, Dangote. Um, is promoting the means whereby we can finally tap into the missing link of African development, private capital,
Hmm.
the private sector. And so he has brought together in a meeting in Kigali all the major corporate leaders of African financial institutions and a few more that participated in it. The whole idea is to see how the private sector can do more to support African economic endeavor, particularly with an emphasis on growth, to make sure that Africa's assets, Africa's resources are channeled properly, managed properly, and that the finance of private capital will be also blended with Africa's own resources to ensure that the development goals are achieved. And as you know, most of the focus will be on things like infrastructure, what Africa
Yeah.
is missing. Africa is missing electricity, remitting transportation, proper transportation through proper roads and railways, and good management, shipping system. And the whole idea is to see because no Africa domestic resources through their national budget would be enough
Enough, yes.
because infrastructure is high capital cost. So it's a good thing that the corporate leaders are coming together. They are going to make requirements, of course.
Mm.
They're not going to finance some of our programs unless, of course, we have the right programs.
It's not just free money.
No, that's right. And we need certain standards of governance to ensure that the money is used properly, to ensure that it brings the results. And I think we'll see more and more of our people beginning to look into the private sector as a means of a better partnership. Most times, sometimes we see private corporations as one that's just there, to make profits. Of course, they are profit-making institutions. You can't deny that. But we look at them with a certain skepticism as to whether. But what we need is a better partnership because we need the resources they have, and they cannot operate unless we have the right projects and we manage our projects too. We manage their money and all. And so I think these two new initiatives coming from Africa are all meant to chart a new course for us in the midst of this global environment that's so unpredictable, that's so challenging. I think having initiatives that are African bred, African promoted, will lead to many of us in our countries re-looking at our own agenda, re-looking at our own system, how we can draw from some of these things and improve our own management of our resources for the better results of the people.
Let's stick with this for a moment. When during your 12 years of presidency, I recall that you always push to have smaller government and a larger private sector because your language was the private sector is the engine of growth. This seems to be right up the alley that you have been pushing for. How do you see that being translated and transmitted to Liberia?
I think we need to do more. Um, IS promoted private sector, private enterprises, Liberian private enterprises, and quite a few of them started business. And I can say that quite a few of them have been successful.
Mm.
Connex is one of them. Um, the one with the ice cream is called, I think she's one of them. There's
Yeah.
so many of them. that have done very well.
Yvonne Dennis,
Yeah,
Sharks.
yeah, Shacks has done well also, and others. I may not be able to
Right.
recall all of them right now, but it's because we encourage them and encourage them to get partnership through the International Finance Corporation and others. But that was not enough. We could have done more. There was an initiative to try to give money to certain small businesses that could grow. Um, that I don't think achieved all the objectives we wanted because some people that signed up, I think, left the country, did not carry out the project that had been financed for them. But now we have another opportunity. We should start this over. Now we all realize the importance of private capital, the importance of good relationship, good partnership between government and the private sector toward a common objective. Your common objective is a nation that has increasing growth, a nation that is able to raise its resources for domestic endeavor because of businesses that support it and because of citizens that also are part of that. And so let's hope that our own country will look again at its own endeavor and, and do more to promote the private enterprises, many of them women, many of them doing food processing, uh, food preservation, and many of them have their own produce that are being carried in supermarkets. And
with labels and all that
we
now.
all should give that support, give them the support so they can grow. If they grow, they will then be able to attract private capital, and that will make them grow even more. Some of the bigger ones.
This is your program, The Liberian Renaissance, changing minds and changing attitudes. We're in conversation with former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and it is going well. But then we will transition to Liberia and all of the good things that are happening here in this country. But I want to ask you now, what's new at the EJS Presidential Center for Women and Development? Anything new? What's the update?
Well, we just installed a Liberia
Yes,
as the chief executive.
Madam Ellen Pratt.
Yes, and she competed with other Liberians and others from Africa, and she went through a rigid examination process, and she won by a committee, independent committee. A judge made the judgment of all. She won, and I'm pleased that we had others managing the program. Well, we had our first initial one, which was very good, Dr. Weeks.
Yes,
She
yes,
set the example.
I remember that.
It's
Yes.
just that she had to move off to something else, but she was the initial one that got the whole center started. So we owe her a lot of gratitude and a lot of thanks and appreciation. But now we have another Liberian that's taken over from the other two that managed it, and we're pleased about that. And other staff have been recruited and are now in place.
The building project?
Our partnership is growing. Um, we have partnership with several of the U.S. foundations, and, I think we now have, if my numbers are correct, I think we have 55 women leaders who are holding positions either in parliament or in executive positions or in independent non-governmental organizations as well as international. We say that we advocate for them, we enhance their profile, they are mentored by former women presidents and other high-ranking international institution heads, such as WHO head, the deputy of the United Nations. So and it's going well. Um,
You're building
we in
construction project.
our North Star, if I may call it that, will be to put up an edifice where these women can convene. They can then have the chance to exchange things among themselves. They can also receive um, learning, teaching from experts in different places that will come and meet with them. Um, and we hope that, give us 5 to 10 years, two or three of them might make a big breakthrough. Some of them are moving up.
I was going to say.
One or two of them are going to make the final one and break through the glass ceiling at some point. But
That would be wonderful.
when we start our construction, we're going to show and put it out for the public to know what it's all about because it's going to make a difference. It'll be an international.
Center.
It'll be for international use. The many people that's going to come there. The archives are going to be there. The library's going to be there. The training center is going to be there. So with all of those, it will be an attraction. Just like we worked with President Obasanjo's center to see how he has set
it up. Yeah.
Try to follow that. We're also working with former President Thabo Mbeki from South Africa to make sure that we understand how he's doing his. And we hope that Liberia would then be one. It might be the first one for a woman, quite rightly so. That's the first one, to be president that we have a presidential center. That's in Liberia.
I was going to say, for once, presidential papers and other things will be stored in Liberia rather than being abroad.
There are two sets. Presidential papers are those that are official papers.
Right.
The ones that are done during the presidency.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the original of those due to the National Archives.
Right.
That's why they are kept. The personal papers are things that are done before the presidency, things that are done, that do not conform to the president, have already been categorized, and they've already have an agreement with Harvard University, and those personal papers are already there. Now they are going to put those for scholars to use in their work, but they will be digitized and be put there. And also the presidential papers, which will rest with the National Archives, will also be digitized. And those will also be made available. So for me, we'll be setting an example,
as you always have.
That others will follow. But it's a good thing that we'll be able to leave something that's of international standard and something that will always be looked at and always be used and always be referenced by the international community.
But let's transition to Liberia. A few days ago, 16 days of activism was launched. And I'm just going to briefly call out a few of the numbers that was given. Gender-based violence report 2024, 3,957. 3,591 cases of gender-based violence recorded, rape alone constituting 2,759 cases. Out of the number of cases reported in 2024, women were the most victims at 3,554. Madam President, during your time, you pushed, you fought, you gathered your people at the ministries and agencies, you went across this country pushing and fighting so that rape would be a thing of the past. What's your assessment of how far that we have come with this fight? Are we, can we do it?
Larry, it's a sad thing. Yes, we fought it. We established a court specifically to address rape cases. Um, it, it tried, it performed a bit, but not sufficient. It didn't do enough. We made this a matter of public concern, you know, speaking against it, calling meetings. So many people, we have a law that says uh, you if you had jail, you could not
Non-bailable.
non-bailable
Yeah.
offense.
Yeah.
So what happened? So many people got jailed and stayed in jail because the courts were not functioning to be able to hear the cases. There were always excuses. And so I, I think, the citizens of this country, the leaders of this country, have got to do more. I think there's a law, a draft law that is being considered for the removal of female genital mutilation to
Mhm.
ensure that this is stopped. I know we did a lot of work
Yes,
with
around that.
traditional societies
Yes.
all over the country, and I believe that they too had seen how wrong it was for one to be able to interfere with the normal life of a child, of a woman. But we've got to get men to change their attitudes, and we've got to be able to. Those who have been arrested for crime must be punished to set the example. Um, Unfortunately, our courts, I must say, fall short in so many ways in being able to deliver. Uh, but that's a judiciary matter that needs to be looked at in its entirety because there are just too many complaints about the judiciary and about our court system, not just by Liberians themselves, but by
Mhm.
international institutions that keep track of our governance, adherence to the right things. But
To-
I just don't know what to do, Larry, about this personally on this rape issue. We'll keep talking about it. We'll keep working with the women organizations, and I think the women lawyers
yeah, the Female Lawyers
Female
Association.
Lawyers Association have a role to play. And we hope that they too can come together with women lawyers and with our very good um, leaders on the Supreme Court who are women, so that they too can join in giving us some advice, giving us take some action, tell us how we can take action to be able to supplement whatever law they have or whatever uh, guidance they're going to put out, so that we all can join that effort as women. But more importantly, men too, because the men are the ones who are the perpetrator. They are the ones that do this. And we have to work on changing men's attitude.
I have to say, on the traditional practices, female genital mutilation, our President Boyka has just elevated that and lifted it up with the traditional council. But there's a lot of resistance still, madam. The people that are saying this is our tradition and we shouldn't be playing politics. And for me, I don't see it as politics, but people are resisting that those practices should continue.
Being able, it can never be a tradition. to do harm
Mm.
to a young woman, thereby denying her the opportunity for her to achieve her professional goals and her to live a normal life. Anyone who say that's tradition, they ought to go and examine themselves all over again. Yes, you hear that word, and yes, they will tell you, oh, well, that's the way they did it in this county, and this is the way they did it in that county. This is the way they even do it in countries outside. But anyone to follow that and to do harm and stop a child, stop a woman from achieving her objective in this kind of inhumane manner, and to use that as tradition, I'm sorry, those traditionalists need to themselves be put on trial.
This is your program, The Liberian Renaissance, changing minds and changing attitudes. We're in conversation, former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and it is going well. Madam, what's your take on youth development and youth employment in Liberia, especially young women?
Youth development, what I say that now that the educational systems are coming back into operation, clearly education is the foundation for development. And as long as our educational systems are functioning well, I see that not only at the lower levels, but also at higher education levels, like the universities, so many changes are being made. For example, the uh, University of Liberia, new management that have brought in new thoughts, new ideas, and uh, stricter rules. I think those are all the improvements that are going to help the youth to get ready for competition. Tubman University
Mhm.
is also,
Doing quite well.
yeah, now beginning to start again, picking up what was left
Yes.
by the earlier woman, President Davis,
Yes.
who brought it to a
Dr.
certain,
Davis Russell.
yes,
Yes.
David Russell brought it to that. Is now moving very well.
And Dr. Menji is really doing a great job.
He really is. And we'd like to see the other universities do likewise. There are private schools,
Mhm.
that have high quality education. Maybe they're a bit expensive for many of our youth, but they do provide quality education. And so that many of our young people whose parents are able to afford it send their kids there. And let's see if our own public schools are made better. I know the teacher training institutes that have been closed or not functioning well for a while have now been resuscitated. And I think they are working more. So we can hope that things will be better. But much more needs to be done. Our training, technical training for young people are still too limited. I think one or two new programs have come up. What we all need to do is, I cannot tell you that I know enough of that. I need to spend more time doing some of the things I did before, like going around from county to county, looking at operations, seeing what some of the
You
things.
still want to do that?
Yeah, part of my job as a leader, part of the job for any leader,
Okay.
not to sit down at home, but to get out there.
So when you speak,
Get
you
out
know
there
from
and
where
see
you
what's
speak.
happening. Read the reports. Go out there. Somebody is doing something, yes, it's just a matter of letting them see the concern of leaders, letting them see people go there and see things. Talk to some of the young people, get their ideas, give them some of your suggestions. That's you don't have to. It's not meddling with anybody. Meddling anything. That's the duty of leaders to take the position of being interested, being informed, provide some support, provide assistance in any way you can within within your own abilities and after which you have full entitlement.
Madam, without a doubt, we see strong efforts in our country with this government developing the nation, our roads, construction of public schools, stronger fight against malaria and illegal drugs. However, we still see a lot of corruptibility on the part of public officials. And you look at other nations around us, many are making strong advancement, but transparency and accountability still hinders our nation's development. What do you think we can do differently in order to minimize corruption in our country?
Larry, I think we have all the laws. We have all of the policies to fight corruption. Our implementation is the problem.
Mm,
Carrying them out is the problem. You know, admitting to it, and it's at all levels. That's really sad. It's at all levels. Uh, and even though progress was made during our administration, we didn't solve it,
mm,
but we made some progress in terms of the auditing system, ensuring the independence, of those institutions that are to be the
yeah.
guardians, of integrity. We did all things for the integrity institutions. I don't think many of them, have kept the pace that we had set. I don't think many of them have provided the kind of performance, have made the kind of performance that we want to see. But then it has to be an initiative that has to come at all levels of society,
Mm.
from the very top down, to do something about it and to be able to punish those in accordance with the law as the law exists. So we should all be ready. Even those of us who are former leaders should be ready to stand up, you know, and be ready and to answer questions and to be a part of trying uh, to promote the system of just plain honesty in what you do, honesty in what you say.
Madam, is Liberia on the right track politically and developmentally? Everything they say in Liberia is politicized.
Oh, it's like you're on the right track. Um, I see many good things are happening. I always say there are good things and there are not so good things.
Mm.
You know, saying good things, I think we ought to applaud the Maritime Commission
Yes.
for, ensuring that Liberia remained on the top. And, and I think we should applaud some of the others that are
And the Minister of
doing,
Foreign Affairs
yeah,
with the Liberia and the Security Council.
they're doing things.
Yeah.
But also, there are other basic things. Compensation for people
Mm.
that were reduced some time in another, it reached a level in our administration. And I think it was reduced in a subsequent thing, and I'm not sure it's been
I
restored.
think the word was harmonized.
Call it whatever you want to call it. But it's a reduction in people's pay, and it's not right. And so
The people say the
I,
people get paid too much
I
anyway. It's a small country like
oh,
ours.
no, that's not true. Um, that's not an excuse
Mm.
for those, that steal. That's not an excuse for dishonesty to say I didn't get paid enough. But I think we too must realize, as a government, as an organization, as an institution, that people deserve a living wage. And if they don't get a living wage, they tend to do other things to be able to meet their basic needs. And that's something we ought to think about. How That's, it's always been that those are the higher echelons of the society, make so much more than others. Yes, there will be a difference, but please let's look at what some of the other countries do. And I'm not saying this because I say my administration was perfect or do anything. No, but I think if the time has come, given the increase in our populations, that we have to do more for the people. And we have to look at those systems that have pertained for many years need to be changed. Countries are changing their systems, and Liberia must do the same. Systems that will do more for the people, systems that will do more for young people, systems that will do more for women. These are changing times, and if we don't change, we will be there.
Progress financially in our country in terms of our revenue projection in our budget, $1.2 billion. Madam, you are an economist par excellence. What do you say to that?
Well, Larry, I must first read the budget before I make any
Mm.
comment on it, okay? And I must say I have not received a copy. I've been out of the country for a while. I will look at it. The only one point I would make, because of you know of the talk, oh, part of this budget is because we're going to get so much money from one of the um, one of the major
Concessionaires, yeah.
mining companies. Well, my only word on that is we must be very careful with concessions. Um, when we started in 2005, we met two major concession operations that were doing well. When we looked at the concession agreement, we found very good reasons to have renegotiations. One was Firestone, one was ArcelorMittal. And we had them redone with strict things about where's the ownership of these
Mm.
facilities, what is the amount of benefits that go to the people, and they were changed. I just want to say that any asset of the country, those assets that usually concessions make an understanding agreement with government, those assets of the country does not belong to any government or any organization, any corporation or concession agreement. Those assets belong to the people of the country. We are custodians
Mm.
as leaders, custodians to manage it well in the interest of the people. That's the role of the executive. The role of the legislature is to ensure that the executive serves as a guardian and guards it in the proper way. And they ensure that how it's managed is managed in the interest of the people. If that's not done, then we can ensure the country is not going to get the best out of its resources and that was given to them by God.
What do you think? Do you think it's being done? I mean, you're here, you're involved, you listen to the radio, you watch television.
No, I'm not involved in any way to
As a
examine
private citizen, an eminent
No,
private
no, no,
citizen.
no. It's more than a private citizen. I'm a leader.
All right.
Yeah, I'm more than a private citizen, so I have a right to speak.
Right.
I have a right to talk. But I must know something before I talk.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to talk something that you don't know because then you just make noise for nothing, when you don't have it. When I have the evidence, if I had a copy of the concession agreement and I read it, I would be able to say I've read it and I know, yes, it's in the interest of the people. Yes, it's for the benefit of people. Or I would be able to say, somebody is taking money on the side and being able to do things that are not right. But I have to go have the information first. I'm not afraid of information, and
I
I'm
know
not
that.
afraid of the truth.
Dear friends, we're winding down with former President Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, an elder. Let me take a few messages. This is from Vine Bay Kamara, following from J.K. Morristown in Salala, Lower Bond County. Firstly, let me say many thanks to our mother for the level of peace she brought to this land, Liberia. She is a good leader. For this reason, we'll not miss her because a good leader is not missed. They can only be remembered. My God, may God continue to bless you because it's not easy for a lady to lead a country that just came out of war. My name is Augustine N. Gonwagwe, joining you from Saninquale, Nimba County, Nimba 99 community. I want to extend my thanks and appreciation for speaking peace existence in our country. Thank you very much. May God continue to bless your efforts and reward you for all that you continue to do for our country, Liberia. Belated birthday, Madam EJS, with the sacrifices made by you, the icon, along with President Nelson Mandela in his country, for which his legacy is unforgettable for South African. You were to be named Liberia's Nelson Mandela, but you are our former president, and we are proud of your great efforts. Let me do one more. Madam, thank you so much for always coming on to speak to us. Your voice resonates with all of us, and thank you for supporting our president and this government. For if this government fails, Liberia has failed, and you are a Liberian. We love you. May God bless you. All right, all right. People still love you. Hope they'll love me when I am a form on something. I don't know. We're winding down, Madam President. Uh, is there anything obtaining within our nation that concerns you most? Anything?
Um, the voice of the people,
Mm.
the peace. I believe it's time that leaders arrange discussions with you. Leaders participate in some of the youth programs to learn their thoughts, to know their situation. Leaders do the same with the initiatives of women, be able to see what they're doing. And I focus on these two groups because most times these are the two groups, youths and women, that are not up to the level of us in every way, whether it's for position, whether it's for compensation, whether it's for recognition, whether it's for support. They don't measure up to what men, because men seem to give priority and preference to themselves, to their own old colleagues, uh, and that is changing. And Liberia must also be part of the changing global environment if we want to keep ourselves safe. So that's my word. But my final thing is this is the vacation period. And this is time for all Liberians to pause in a couple of weeks, a bit more, to be able to enjoy their holidays, their families. Um, will be very glad to see the work that's going on, with the overpass that is
Yes.
now being constructed there. I'm so glad to see it because it's something that we had put in way back then, our administration, we never got done. But now we see it being done. I think that's wonderful. So those construction workers, let's wish them Merry Christmas. But I think please keep doing your work. You can always, do a little bit and then you can just go home Christmas Day. But please come back. Don't disappear for one whole week to say, honey, I want my Christmas so we can get this work done. Because we're having difficulty with the weather,
Yes. Yes.
raining too much and climate
Yes.
change
Yeah.
showing itself in Liberia as in other places. So we must, anytime we have opportunity to do things that require sunshine, we should do it now. So
Happy December,
happy
because you're going to have
December.
one more before Christmas. You'll come back here before Christmas.
No, we'll deal with that one in due course. Right now, let me give a pre-Christmas message of everybody. Do something for somebody in Christmas time. Give a lift to somebody. Make somebody go home happy and say, thank God somebody did this for me. Whether it's a meal, whether it's whatever it is, something that makes somebody feel wanted, make them feel like somebody remembered them. Doesn't it can be your family, yes, but it's always good if you do it too for somebody who's a stranger, somebody you don't know. How well you make that person see life in a different way. So until I'm back, I don't think it will be December. Then that you all good evening.
Dear friends, this has been a special edition with former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. This is our December and uh, Christmas, pre-Christmas edition, because I will be back 2 Tuesdays from now. And we want to thank you, Madam President. Each time you come is splendid. And we want to thank all of our people in studio who do so much here at ELBC and across our country. I have been Larry Bropleh, and until next time, be an agent of change. So long.